Hey friends, what is up and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to sit down and do the Booktube drama tag. This was created by my friend Boston. I will leave Boston's channel down below as well as her original video. This tag is a lot of fun because it talks about all of the drama that we've encountered over the last year, a year and a half. Some of these I missed, some of these I saw like a little snippets of things on Twitter, but if you guys don't know, I try to avoid drama. The last time I gave any kind of opinion, it was like the end of the fucking world for me. So I try to avoid all of it. So I know little bits and pieces about a lot of these, and basically it is talking about an event that happened that had a lot of drama surrounding it, and then a book prompt that kind of goes with that. So it's a pretty simple tag. I'm gonna go ahead and get started, but let me know down below your answers to some of these questions. I'd really like to know. The first one that we have here is Dick Soapgate, which if you don't remember what that is, I think it was like a subscription box for one of Sarah J. Maas's books, came out and it had a little rubber soap penis, and people were like, oh my god, people are gonna stick that in their vaginas. Like, it was like a big deal. I remember that, but I just remember laughing at it because that type of drama is funny drama. It's like hilarious, but like the real drama that happens, sometimes that can be a little harder, but this one I thought was really funny. The book that goes with that, or the prompt that goes with that, is favorite smutty book. Now, I don't really read smut. I read a little bit of romance. I guess my favorite smutty book that I've read is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. Although really, I think that's just a romance book that has smut in it, because I feel like it's not a book where like they're immediately having sex and it's like sex, sex, sex throughout the entire book. There is quite a bit in it, but there is a really nice story that goes with it. And I don't tend to read smut. It's not a genre that, I don't know, like I've really delved into, because it's really hard, I think, to find good books written in like the smutty format. If you know any down below that you really like, if you are a reader of smut, let me know. It's just not really a genre that I think I've ever been like, yeah, I'm gonna go get me like a smutty book. So I don't really have an answer for this other than, I guess, technically the smut that I read in like The Hating Game and Josh and Hazel's and things like that. Okay, the next one is incest drama, which if you guys don't remember, that is the drama that I weighed in on and was completely like dragged and quartered, and I don't really want to speak about it, but it was talking about people, I think, shipping Jon and Daenerys from whatever the fuck it is, or Jon and his sister, I don't remember. But there's like some drama with Game of Thrones and people shipping people. And I thought this drama was really funny because a lot of people who are getting really uppity about it actually read series that have a lot of incest in them. Like Cassie Clare, from what I've heard, there's a little bit of incest in that series. But also aside of that, like these are people who, I don't know, like a lot of their authors are problematic, which I'm somebody who's like, okay, like whatever, if your author is problematic, if you like the books and, you know, they're not spending their money to actively like ruin like communities and stuff, like who really cares? But it was like people were picking and choosing when this happened, like what to get really upset about while ignoring, I feel like, things that were more important. So I got a little bit involved and I got dragged and quartered and it was awful. So I'm not gonna stay there for too long, but this is your favorite sibling duo. Mine would be Fred and George. I love Fred and George. I think that their whole dynamic throughout all this series, I'm actually re-listening to them right now on audiobook to fall asleep every night. And just every time they're on the page and every time I'm hearing like what they're doing or like their little quips and stuff, I like forever they will be my favorite. I think that they are the funniest and one of the most in-depth duos, especially later on in the series. I think that they add a lot of things to the story that sometimes people miss, and I can't think of any other duos that I'm like, yeah, besides like Fred and George. So the next one is Handbook for Mortals, which this was about an author, I can't remember her name, who wrote a book called Handbook for Mortals. And essentially she got herself to the New York Times bestseller list by writing her own reviews on like Goodreads and Amazon. And the book was absolutely terrible. I watched Insane Reader do a whole vlog on it and was just like, wow, that book is actual garbage. And the fact that it was on the New York Times bestseller list was like a really big deal. I know it pushed out a lot of authors that we really love, that really deserved to be there. So it was like a whole drama about it. But the prompt for this is overhyped book. Now, this is going to be really, I don't know, hard, I guess, for me to say, but I think one of the most overhyped books that I have read recently, and you'll see like my full thoughts on this in my wrap up, would have to be Red Rising. I actually got about 190 pages into it, 200 pages into it, and I ended up DNFing it. I was reading it with Boston, the creator of this tag, and when I, responded to her on Twitter and was like, I think I have to DNF it, and she was like, oh my god, why didn't you tell me? Like, because I don't think think she liked it either. I think that it is one of the most overhyped series, like overhyped books. I think that the writing is really bad. I feel like it was really choppy. I hate dystopian, so maybe that's why I didn't really like it. I feel like there was a lot of lack in character development, especially from the beginning. Like Darrow is not a well-established character. Like a lot happens to him and a lot is talked about, but I didn't like it like at all. I ended up just like walking into my roommate's room and giving him the first 2 books and being like, because they're the only 2 that I own, just giving it to him and like, happy birthday, because I don't even want to own these. Like I didn't even want to sell them. I just wanted them out of my possession. And I feel like it's really overhyped. And for the people that love that series, that's awesome. I just absolutely, like, I didn't even dislike it. I like hated that book. So I didn't rate it on Goodreads. I did count it towards my reading goal, but I didn't rate it because I feel like because I don't read dystopians, because I disliked it so much and I didn't finish it, I didn't want to give it a star rating. So a lot of people have been asking me on Goodreads like what I thought of it, but I'll go more in depth in my wrap up. But so far that is like the most overhyped book I think I've ever read that I absolutely, like I didn't even like a tiny bit enjoy it. The next one is J.K. Rowling, or a character that makes questionable choices. Now J.K. Rowling is one of those authors who like goes back into her series and says things like, oh, this is canon and this is canon. And I hate when authors do that. Like, let the people write fanfic. Let the people make what they want to happen with the series happen. You've already written it. You got to stop fucking with it. And she just continues to do that. On top of, there are other books and movies that are coming out that kind of disprove some of the things that she's saying, because the biggest thing that I can think of is Dumbledore is gay. Well, she's had the opportunity to make Dumbledore gay in the subsequent movies that have come out, and she hasn't done it because she just wants to placate. Like, she was like, oh, I never said Hermione was white. Hermione's black. And it's like, no, Hermione's fucking white. Like, you can try to say she's not, but we knew the type of character that you wrote. And there's like 2 other black kids and like 2 Indian kids in that entire series. I guarantee Hermione wasn't black. But like, let people who want to see that write their fanfic. Let them have it. Like, basically, we need her to like step out of her own fandom at this point. But I have to say, a character that makes questionable decisions, I'm gonna go with the Darkling. I feel like he doesn't just make questionable decisions, he makes kind of fucked up decisions, but I really like that about him. I think characters that do things like this tend to be morally gray or just plain evil, and those are my favorite characters. So he definitely falls into that category for me. The next one is Marie Kondo. If you can only keep one book, what would it be? Now, the Marie Kondo drama, I did also stay out of because I thought it was fucking stupid and I wasn't sure why people were getting up in arms about it. It was Marie Kondo said that she only owned 30 books and we should only own as many books as bring us joy. Now, people got really mad because Marie is really about like purging and getting rid of things that you don't want or things that you don't need. So people thought that that is what she's saying. And they latched onto the first part of it and completely ignored that she said, however many bring you joy. So that's 17,000 books. That's what brings you joy. If it's 10 books, that's what brings you joy. So I thought this drama was really, really stupid. But going with the prompt for that, a book that I would keep, if I can only keep one book, it's a toss-up between Harry Potter and I would say Chamber of Secrets, because that one's my favorite. Or it would be Different Seasons by Stephen King. I have read that book so many times that every edition that I have of it has fallen apart. I have a brand new one. I bought a really, really crappy used version of it that doesn't even have the dust jacket on it because I knew that eventually I was going to be destroying that book. I've gone through 3 or 4 of them and I've just read it back to back so many times. It has Stand By Me, Shawshank Redemption, The Apt Pupil, and The Breathing Method in it. And all of those stories are really complex and I feel like they add a lot to life in a way. Stand By Me is about a bunch of boys who are going on this grand journey and they find a dead body by the train tracks. Shawshank Redemption, if you're not familiar, is about a man who kills his wife and goes to prison, and him and his roommate, his prison mate, try to break out. The Breathing Method is actually a really fucked up story about like a secret society and like death and like doctors. And then The Apt Pupil is about a boy who reads to his next door neighbor, and his next door neighbor actually ends up being a Nazi and kind of takes him under his wing, and then the boy does end up killing him and proving how evil he is. I think that those stories have a lot of depth to them and the characters are really good, even though they are in short stories. I think they are some of the best that he has ever written, because with short stories, obviously you're given a lot less room to really develop certain things, and I feel like that just shows how great of an author he is. Like he really like shows instead of tells and builds all these really, really great characters. And hands down, you know what, screw Harry Potter. That's gonna be the book that I'm gonna keep, is Different Seasons by Stephen King. Oh, the next one is Tomi Adeyemi, or 2 books with similar titles. So Tomi Adeyemi came for Nora, I don't know her name. I haven't read anything by either of these authors, but essentially Tomi added this big author who had a similar title to Children of Blood and Bone, or whatever the second book in the series is, and they kind of got into it on Twitter. And Tomi did later, I don't want to say apologize, because I don't really ever feel like she thought she was in the wrong, and I don't really know if she was in the wrong for that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have enough of an opinion, but that's what all that drama was about, was really, really similar titles. And I actually had to write this answer down because they were so fucking similar. So we have the 7 husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and the 7.5 deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. Even the covers are similar. Like, every single time I see those books somewhere, I get confused about which one is which, and it drives me insane. I never remember which one is the one that I want to pick up. I kind of know now because I started reading the 7 deaths of Evelyn Hugo, but even now trying to say that, I wanted to say the 7.5 deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. So it is a very, very, very closely titled book, as well as I'm pretty sure they came out at almost the exact same time. So the fact that it has the number 7 in it and the name Evelyn, I can see why people get confused, me included. Oh, the next one is, and the last one is BookCon Photo Drama, a full cast audiobook you love. So the BookCon Photo Drama, I heard about from friends who were in New York who would like call me or text me and kind of tell me what was going on. I can kind of see both sides of this though. I feel like wanting to be included is incredibly important, and people should have communicated a little bit better about how small of an event it was supposed to be. Essentially, Jenna does photos every year for a lot of people at BookCon, and it's incredibly stressful. And it's, as somebody who's done photography in the past, it's stressful to manage even 10 people, let alone like the 80 people that showed up for this photo. So essentially people were pissed off because they weren't invited. People were kind of cast aside. It was really hectic for Jenna, and you know, she was like, can we not, like, if you're not invited, please don't come. Like, she took the photo, she did it really, really well, but you know, later on she was like, this wasn't okay. Like, I didn't want this many people here. And I feel for her, and I feel for the other people. Mostly I feel for her though. But the prompt for this is a full cast audiobook you love. Now, I didn't really love this book, but I think that the audiobook was so phenomenal that it's the only reason I finished it, and it would be Daisy Jones and the Six. This is one of my most disappointing books of the year, actually. I didn't hate it, but it was really disappointing. But the audiobook of this is phenomenal. Each character has their own voice, so you're really able to follow the series. I think that Billy and Daisy's characters were voiced so well, but even like the secondary characters like managers or other people in the band, they all got their own voice, and it was just, it was wonderful. Like, I had started reading the physical book and could not read it, and then ended up listening to the audiobook. It was completely blown away. So by the audiobook, not necessarily by the book. So I really like that. If you are a fan of the book, like if you read the book, you should give the audiobook a try, because it's like leaps and bounds better than the actual like physical book. I feel like it was written for audiobook, and I don't often feel like that. All right guys, so that is everything for this tag. I'm going to tag a few people down below. I'm going to tag Jade from JD Rereads because I feel like she would really like this. I'm going to tag G because G doesn't pay attention at all to drama, and I think that it would be really funny to watch her try to do this. And then I'm going to tag Jessie from Bow Ties and Books. But that is going to be it. I love you guys so much. Let me know down below your answer to the 2 books that have similar titles. I'd like to know, because I feel like, as with anything, like, we're running out of stories and we're running out of titles, and I think it'd be really cool to see which ones you guys come up with. But I love you so much, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!